All right, everybody, away we go. Welcome to today's call. It is Friday, October 20th of 2017, and this is the TRC sales training call, which I'm excited to do always. I want to start off by saying this week was a very interesting week at the Griffin Realty Group and the TRC. At the Griffin Realty Group, we did a live training session for our agents, which I thought was very enlightening for me. And it also coincided with a lot of what I was seeing on some of the one-on-ones this week, which was when somebody really challenges you and asks you why, and Dave Nadolski, to give him full credit on our team, actually was the one who brought the question up in Q&A at the GRG meeting. He said, really, why am I paying you this much money? And I thought that was a pretty fair question. And of course, you know me, I want to jump all over it and get aggressive with the answer. But the truth is, you have to be able to answer this question before you can articulate value in any particular niche, like a seller, a buyer, or you're trying to recruit an agent. You have to answer Michael Gerber's challenge to answer one big question. How does the business actually work? How does it really work? And so I think what's important to understand is that your natural inclination is to go to these default sort of, it's like a bobblehead doll. You pop it on the top of the head and it starts bouncing out the answer and shaking its head, when the truth is you have to chunk it up. You have to get up above this business. And first of all, a lot of you think, well, I'm not in the business. I'm in this thing that's called a brokerage that somebody else owns. Well, no, we're all independent contractors. Me as broker owner, conglomerations that own agencies, multiple agencies, individual agents, we're in the same business. And there's a way that it works entirely. So what we talked about was that you really have to know that entire business before you can even help a seller properly. Now, I was out showing properties this morning, and I just shook my head, just marveling at what a mess two of these houses were. They were a mess. And I'm telling you that the agents who represented these people absolutely should have them by the lapels and say, you need to do something about cleaning your property. And that's just the beginnings of understanding how the business really works, because you understand how buyers behave, how sellers behave. But really getting up above it, you have to have a vision for this business and how it works, so that when somebody asks you that question, you know. And the first thing that I would tell you, anytime you're answering a question about how this works, you have to assume a tripolar personality type. Number one, in Gerber's model, it's the entrepreneur. That is the person that has the vision. Number two is the one that most of us are missing in a big way, and that's the manager. Managing a marketing plan, a conversion plan, a closing plan, and a past client community plan. Those are the four major modules that I see, and I've chunked up so that you could see. Entrepreneur has the vision for a business that is sustainable and works. The next is the manager, who puts the plans in place. And finally, and ultimately, you have what we all think the business is, and that's the technical work. Meaning you run an ad, you get a lead, you convert it, and you go out there. That's the technical work of actually going through the process of selling a property. But the business in its entirety requires a vision, requires managed plans, and then the technical work. So when somebody challenges Dave, I told him the next time, say, take the infographic. And if you're not familiar with the TRC infographic, it's easy. You can go to the Realty Classroom Facebook page, and there it is. It's the profile picture. It's a quick and dirty illustration of how the business works. Because let's take the FSBO, for example, the for sale by owner who knows it all. They already know everything all about our business. That's why they don't need us. There's no value in a realtor, say a lot of those folks. Really? Okay. Here you go. Here's the infographic on how the business works. Let's assume you're in a tough market. Good luck. I think there's another coaching program out there that teaches in about 28 days the FSBO's had enough, right? And the reason is they don't know how the business really works in its entirety. Now, of course, they know a little bit about putting it on MLS. Well, I'm going to get it and just do an entry only. Wonderful. Let me tell you about an entry only situation that I'm dealing with. Absolutely, without my help, would be no deal. I have the buyer. He's doing it himself. Absolutely, there would be no deal. I'm just telling you that right now for a lot of reasons. And I'm not going to get into that because it's a current deal. But you have to understand that when you're telling people, look, this is the way the business works. You want to chunk it all the way down into listings? That's great. Let's get into that plan. So I really want you to understand and ask questions and role play, because you're going to get this on the phone. And when you go face to face, whether it's an expired, a for sale by owner, or just a flat out brand new listing opportunity, you're going to have to answer that question. Otherwise, you're not going to be dealing with these objections that come up to your value. Everybody's always counting your money. And the truth is, a lot of them have no clue what it's like to be an independent contractor and run their own business. That's number one. Number two is they have no clue about real estate because they've never studied it and they don't do it every day. I can't stand when I hear, well, I've sold X number of houses. Who cares? Who cares? That's irrelevant. You don't know how the business works in its entirety, okay? So there's my little rant to get us going. Remember, *6 mutes your microphone, *7 unmutes it. I would love to role play any kind of objection or challenge you get, and I'm going to throw it out there for inside and outside sales because I have a couple of my team leaders that you'd like me to go in a direction. Here's your opportunity. If you're on time here today, you can get me going. All right, here we go. Let's open the mics, make sure we're good. Guys, I've got a couple loud mics. *6 me. I got an echo. There you go. Stars. Yep, go ahead. Hi, buddy. Go ahead, sorry.
It looks like there is quite an echo.
Yep. I'm just cleaning up these mics first. Remember, if you have me on a speakerphone or I'm in a car, *6 me or turn the speaker down. That's all you have to do. And I'd rather you participate. All right, Douglas, you're in the hot seat, buddy. Tell us about all this hard work and success you're having first, because you've been texting me some good stuff, because a lot of people don't think they can turn things around quickly, but you have.
It doesn't seem that quick.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit more about it. Hang on, I'm just looking at a couple hot mics here. I had to mute somebody in Arizona. Sorry. Go ahead. Tell me.
Well, I think last week I reported some nice escrows I have, and I just added a $945,000 escrow yesterday.
Yeah.
Mutual acceptance.
Now tell everybody, what sales process did you go through to get that? Because you've been going through some real struggle, changing your brokerage, getting yourself set up. Tell people what you actually did from a sales perspective to get there. Nobody likes to hear anybody else's success unless, of course, that person is going to reveal how. So tell us how.
Well, they had their eyes set in a particular neighborhood and a particular price point, and in the 5 months of working with them, that price point went up $100,000, and I just convinced them that they're just being too picky. That price point is between $650 and $750, and they wanted to be able to put $100,000 into it and then have a home that'd be worth anywhere between $950 and $1 million. But after the frustration of failing and losing multiple offers, they finally just went for a property that was what they really wanted.
Okay. Well, that's good. See, that's an interesting thing. I find that on the road, too. So yesterday I had some new folks in town from Long Island, New York, and really sweethearts. And they were looking at some stuff at a price range down in the $350 range. And it just wasn't quite getting us home. It was too small, clean, and good stuff. And I told them, or asked them, really, what's really your comfort level maximum? And when they gave it to me at $450, went out today and saw two fantastic houses for $425. So I think a lot of people would like to save money and not spend as much as they actually have to get what they want. So I think a big part of selling that is guiding them through, look, here we are at this price range. If it's not enough, why are you trying to jam that square into the round peg, right? So would you agree that that's what happened?
Yes.
All right, good stuff. Did you want to role play something with me? Did you want to jump in?
Yes, and I'd also like to put it out there to the group. I'm looking for role play partners so I can start mastering the sales process with the being able to introduce the 7-step process to people and then role play what will happen after I send it to them in the follow-up calls.
Okay, cool.
So if anybody's interested, please let me know.
All right, well, the best thing is be our Campfire member. I'd post it in there. I'd like to see it be a fellow Campfire member or a team member that's in here. That's the right place to do it. All right, let's go. What do you want to role play? Because I got to keep her rolling here.
Okay, can I have you be the agent and just let me listen to you call somebody or that's like an expired listing and introduce the idea that you're going to be sending over the 7-step?
Yeah, you bet. And do me a favor, object to me the way that I was suggesting in the beginning. we'll go expired if that's what you want me to do. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to stick with coming back at me, throwing back at me, why are you guys, I don't think realtors are worth it. And, that kind of thing, that frustration, because that's an actual, and David, Ellie Budbud, if you're on here too, I want you to validate for me that you're making phone calls for us and you're hearing that kind of objection too. So we'll have David weigh in. David, are you there too?
Yep, over here.
Okay, good. So, David, does that sound like a normal thing yet for you? Have you run into that kind of objection that I set up? Because I don't want to just do the role play. I want to start to get into some real live objections here. So, is that a common one? If it's not, give me one.
Well, okay, I think the last time we spoke about this during the meeting, you said that these FISBOs are about, I think, 10 to 20% of the market. Mm-hmm. So it's not as common as, as something that I would normally encounter.
Sure.
Yes, they do have frustrations with regard to their previous realtors, but not really to the point wherein they try to do it themselves. But yes, there are a few know-it-alls. And yeah, I'm actually just as interested in knowing how to deal with these people.
Okay, excellent. So do you have any real know-it-all kind of responses that you've had so far?
Yeah, there were some people who would tell me, "Oh, I know all about these comms. I do, realty investment. I've done my research, blah blah blah, stuff like that."
Okay, all right. I'm going to let you and Doug, when we get through the primary part of the role play, I'm going to let you guys tag team this, and you guys can both come at me with some objections. Okay, so we'll go through the front end. Hey Doug, it's a little noisy where you're at though. I don't know if you've got a little background noise there. We have a little background noise in your phone. I don't know. Could be, maybe not. Okay. All right. Well, here we go. Doug, are you in the hot seat?
Yes.
Okay. So here we go. All right.
Yes.
So ring. Is Doug there, please?
This is Doug.
Hey, Doug, this is Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. The reason I'm calling is because I noticed that your home expired on the multiple listing service, and I felt for you, so I wanted to send you out our free strategic manual that will help you figure out maybe what went wrong. Is it something that you expired, or did you really take it off yourself?
Oh, God. I've had 25 agents call me in the last 2 days.
Oh, I'm sure. That would be on the light side.
Yeah.
If there's only 25, I'm surprised it's not more. That's why I'm not calling you, telling you I have any solution for you other than a guide that will help you take a look at what maybe went sideways. How'd you make out? Did you get any showings? Did anything happen?
Well, we're just not interested in talking to an agent right now. It's a pretty frustrating experience.
Oh, I don't blame you. Yeah. I apologize for the way you feel about that, because it's a tough thing in this industry. Does that mean because I don't want to bother you, but I do want to help you if there's an opportunity. Hey, guys, hang on. Guys, if you've got a noisy mic, it's got to be *6 or we can't get through this call, okay? *6 the mics and *7 unmutes them. So, Doug, it sounds like you're super frustrated, but before you let me go, let me just ask you real quick. Is this something you still want to get done deep in your heart, or is this something you're just giving up on completely?
Well, it is, but we went with Redfin, and they're a 4% company because I just can't justify what you guys do for the money.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, see, the problem is going for that 4% didn't get the job done. That might have been part of the problem. I'm not saying anything about the agent that you use because I know nothing about them, nor do I care to break down what they did and didn't do. I'd rather just give you an inventory of what happens. See, you get what you pay for sometimes in business. So if nothing happened, then maybe the strategy that you were paying for at 4% wasn't good enough. So all I'm suggesting is that when you get this in the mail, because it's a free gift, it's no obligation, I'm not promising you have a rabbit in the hat. I'm telling you that there's a difference in what realtors do. I take a strategic professional approach and I'm giving it to you. I don't care who you use. How about that? You should use this regardless of the agent. It's a strategy that sellers use. And this business is far more complicated than most sellers would ever imagine. Now, I'm not going to tell you complicated to the extent that you couldn't understand it immediately when you get it from me, but putting the right information in the right order and moving the sale along the strategic path is the difference between absolutely having nothing happen and getting a sale. So it sounds like you're very focused on that commission rate, and that's why you made that decision. Is that the most important thing to you in the process?
Well, after seeing their performance, they justified my reason for going with the discount because really they just didn't do anything. They hung a sign.
Okay. So
and then there was really bad communication, and we were on for 90 days. There was barely any showings.
Yeah. So let me go back through the process. There's a couple of things. What you're going to get in the mail talks about the pricing range. How'd you feel about first? How'd you feel about that? Or did you feel like the price was close enough? Were there showings?
Well, 6 showings in 90 days, that's not very much.
Okay.
I set the price because I know what I have to get on the sale.
Yeah. Well, it's better than 0. That's the good news. What was the feedback from the 6 showings? Was there a reason why nobody made an offer? Did those buyers go buy something else? Did you have any kind of vetting of those 6? Because that's important. That's a good footprint, actually.
No, actually, I didn't get any feedback.
Okay. So communication during the showing process sounds like it might have been the tripping point. Is that a fair statement?
To say the least, yeah. In fact, the agent didn't even know when the house became expired.
Yeah, interesting. So what I would say is when you look at the 7 points, it sounds like you're in the relatively right pricing range. 6 is not bad over 90 days. You're right. There could have been a few more. So I would be looking at that if I was starting from scratch or taking a look at your situation, and then looking at the conditioning and staging as the next 2 beats there. So were there comments? Were there any comments from buyers about? Hang on one second, guys. Guys, hang on. Doug, is that your phone or is that? Hold on, let me see. That might be.
I don't think so.
Yeah, in Michigan, I think. So the point is, when we look at this situation, you got all the way down to marketing. Now, there's 2 types of marketing. One is syndication, meaning you spread out all of the internet and the MLS, okay? So if somebody saw you there, then you got seen and you got shown. Now, what we do is something in addition to that called push marketing, where we actually get up and put a heartbeat on the thing. So we take our digital footprint and pictures and virtual tours, our website when we feature a property, and we move it around, including open houses. So backtracking a little bit before the communication, was there any kind of a real push market effort?
No, there wasn't.
Okay, so it sounds like basically they put it on MLS and hoped that syndication marketing alone would work. Does that sound right to you?
That's exactly right.
Okay, perfect. So there's one of the obvious problems. Now, again, it sounded okay that syndication marketing brought in at least 6 showings. Were those all co-broke showings or were those direct buyers? What happened there?
They phoned and asked if they could show, and so I left, and
Okay.
They were all with agents.
Okay, so again, syndication marketing to a certain extent did work, but you need push marketing. In this marketplace, I'll tell you right now, Doug, nothing's getting done without a little bit of elbow grease and old-fashioned hard work. And that's where that communication stage really broke down for you. That's a very important part. What we do is we use the same central showing agency that would coordinate it, but more importantly, we make sure that that survey is completed. And or whenever possible, we never let our schedule get in the way, but we try to actively attend all of these so that we can proactively sell the property. So I would say, if you don't mind, rather than get yourself to the point where you don't believe in any of us anymore, recognize, number one, we're not all the same. And you're going to see that when this strategy comes over. And what I'd like to do is give you a free, no obligation walkthrough of the property, because I can't really give you good advice without seeing the property. So would you be open to me stopping by?
Yeah, I think so. Sure.
Okay, good. All right, so there we go. So you didn't play too hard, and I kept going. I gave you guys in this role play a little bit more than you might on a phone, but you gave me that place. You notice I didn't do a lot of pausing once I felt I sort of had you up against the ropes in a positive way. I had to fight through a couple quick jabs in the beginning to fight through that. You've had it. You're frustrated. But I know from experience that's more of an emotional reaction than it is a logical one. So very quickly what I tried to do was get to the point of, why did you do this in the first place? And are you really giving up on this? Is that real? Because if so, you take this. And I would have gone in that direction, Doug, too. I would have just said to you, look, why don't you just get the course, take a look at it, and then I'll give you a heartbeat when this all calms down and all these calls are quiet. In the meantime, I would just ask, if you're going to interview agents and you change your mind, would you please include me? That's all I ask, right? And so I would have gone in a different direction had you pushed back a little bit more. So David, jump in with him here. What would you say? You jump in here next. What would you say for an objection? Give me an objection after that intro.
Okay, well, I normally get asked this question. I'd rather. Okay, wait. Sorry. Let me just phrase that. Yeah, I want to sell my home at a certain price. I want 400 clean. So anything that you add on top of that, that's yours.
Okay, good. So that's great. What we'd like to do then is we'd like to take a look at the analysis on the price and see where we're at and see if that's reasonable. Because if we think it's reasonable, we want at it. We can't wait to get in your house to take a look to see if we can net you 400. So when can we get together to do that? Because I can't tell you that.
Again, I don't want any commission. I don't want to give it 5%. I think this is my share. So you just have to add to it, okay?
Yeah. So what you're saying is you want 400 net after commissions. Is that right?
Yeah, you could say that, yeah.
Okay, so there are some other costs to closing too. I don't know if you've considered those. There's tax and deed stamps in the town of Barnstable too. Are you aware of those?
No, but I think I can get those done.
Okay, well, again, you're very focused on the net, what you walk away with, right? So I want to make sure you get the full education. It's not just commission. There's tax and deed stamps as well, and you'd also owe some taxes in arrears at the closing table. So what I'd be happy to do is go over that exact net sheet with you too, if I can get in the house and take a peek at it. But most importantly, I need to see if there's a reasonable opportunity to net you 400. But the only way I'm going to do that is to come there. So if you're okay with that, let's book an appointment now. I'll come in with the analysis, the net sheet. The worst thing is I'll walk out the door and tell you the truth. I can't do it. Right? That okay with you?
That sounds good. I actually have no other objection.
Yeah, see, you can't. You can't object to that because I recreated your desire. Your desire is to net 400. And I'm saying, cool, I'm not going to yes you. I'm just going to tell you, all right, I have to see if that's a reasonable request on your part. But what can I really do once I get in the house, David? Once I'm in the house, what do I do?
You can assess the home and then do a net sheet.
Yeah, I can do the things I said, but I can find out why was this guy so obsessed with this number of 400? Where's it come from? Most likely, he's trying to net a number because he has to buy something on the other side, and he doesn't really know how all the math works. So there's a high probability when I get in the house, I'm going to be able to solve his math problem and get him off of this 400 number. Maybe. Not all the time. Sometimes the law of corroboration means once that guy made a decision that 400 net was his number, it's very difficult to talk that dog off that bone. Very difficult, right? So as you're thinking through that, you have to be listening to him. I listened to you. You said, I want 400. You add whatever you want on that. No problem. Let me see if it's reasonable because I'm not going to add X percent onto your number. If it's not reasonable, I'm wasting your time and mine. So I have to get in the house to see if it's really 400. I could do my analysis, which only gives me a range. And it's going to be pretty tight to net you the 400 if I don't come and see it, I'm guessing. And I won't do that. I won't do that. So I'm going to fight for this appointment. See, what's the outcome you and I talk about wanting when you're in an inside sales position? There's only 3 outcomes. What are they?
Okay, one is to get you that appointment, whether on the phone or in person.
Correct.
Second would be to move the person over to a long-term prospect, someone we can follow up with regularly.
Correct.
And then third is, if there's really no business to be had, then don't waste time with that person anymore.
Yes, correct. We're going to send them to the trash bin, right? So that's exactly right.
Exactly.
There's 3 outcomes. Now, I think people get confused when they hear me say, well, you're not just teaching them the outcome, right? You're teaching them what to say. We went through what to say. Here we go again, right? Ring, ring. Is David there, please?
Mm-hmm.
Is David there?
Who's calling?
David, this is Danny Griffin from Griffin Realty Group. The reason I'm calling is because I saw that your house expired. I know you're getting a bunch of calls. All I'm calling to tell you is I sent you a free gift in the mail that's going to go over the strategy we use to help people in your situation. So while I have you, though.
Danny,
Yep.
But, I'm all set,
Yeah. You mean you're all set? Did you sell it?
Well, no, but I think it's something I can get done better than other agents. The one I worked with before.
Yeah.
Man, the guy was useless.
Mm-hmm. Does that sound like you're going to try to sell it yourself?
Yeah, I think I can do a better job. I went online. I went on Julia. I entered my home address there.
Beautiful.
They gave me an assessment of how much my home is worth. I did my own research. I think I can get it done.
Perfect. You're going to love this course then because it's free guidance. This is exactly what I do with every one of my clients to get success. So since you're doing it on your own, this free guidance is right up your alley. So when you get it, one of the first things that you're going to notice is that pricing it right is there. So good for you for going on Trulia and Zillow, et cetera, wherever you got your online evaluation. Just understand the hazard in that is those online algorithms don't take into account the exact neighborhood location, the exact condition of the property, and the very hyper local market trends in your neighborhood. So if it doesn't work
I
out.
have a beautiful home.
Yep. Sure. So you're at the high end of the range then. So that trading range, though, is not something that you're going to get from an online algorithm. So understand that pricing it right is in that range. Now, what I would ask you to look at, too, to coach you through this a little bit since you're doing it yourself, I would ask when it was on with the agent at the price in MLS, the first question is, did you get anybody to show up?
There were a few, yeah, but again, the guy was, man, he was useless, He told me a lot of things. He promised me a lot of things that we could sell it at the price I wanted.
Yeah.
And at first, there were a few showings, but, a week or two later, they just started, trickling down until nobody was, showing up.
Yeah, that happens.
So, yeah.
That happens. In the beginning, what happens when a listing first comes on MLS, it's usually a curiosity. And then when people come in, they take a look at it. And if it doesn't match what their perception is of value for the price range, it becomes very difficult. And adjustments need to be made, whether it's marketing, price, et cetera. That's a fact of the matter. So what I would say is that the one thing you want to make sure you do if you're going to do it yourself is don't just put it online somewhere. You need to go put it into the multiple listing service, right? You don't want to lose all that part of the marketplace because syndication marketing is a very, very big chunk of marketing. We do something we call push marketing too, where we actually are aggressively marketing the property, doing open houses, trying to provoke conversations directly with buyers. That's called push marketing. But you are going to leave yourself in a very isolated spot if you're not on MLS. So did you have an intent to go back on MLS when you're selling yourself?
Yeah, I guess again, I haven't really given this some thought, but you seem like a nice guy. I guess I don't mind you helping me with this, but I want to let you know that I'm not willing to pay a commission.
Sure.
I think 5 or 6% is just too much to give you guys.
Yeah.
It's easy work, something I can do. It might take longer, but I think I can get it done. But I just want to net this amount in my home, and if you want to add on it, sure, why not?
David?
I think you sound like a nice guy.
David, you also sound like a nice guy, right? But I'm trying to not smile such a big smile thinking that you might know this business as well as somebody that really does. So all I have to do, you're telling me, is be 6% better than you? I love that challenge. How about this? How about you let me in the house and I allow you to continue to sell it yourself. You give me a shot to sell it as well, and let's see who wins. How's that sound? Because all we have to do is net the most amount of money, right?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah? So why don't we do this? Why don't you let me in? We'll go through the strategy together. If you don't like me after we meet face to face, you've got all my best stuff for free. You can have at it. And I'll step back, right? And you have at it. And if it happens, wonderful. If it doesn't, you know who to talk to. Me. Is that fair?
That sounds actually fair.
When can I swing by to see the property? And I'll also bring another gift. I sent you over the strategy, but I'll do a quick price analysis, the proprietary way that I do it. I'll bring that with me so that I bear a second gift to make it worth your while. When would be good? What time?
Tomorrow at 1 is good.
Okay, perfect. So what did I do? What did I do? Is that really some kind of skill set that's unique to me? Or am I really just following a process? What do you guys think? Tell me what you think I just did there. Some of my veterans, some of my team leaders weigh in. What did I just do?
I think you really kind of matched the personality of the person you were speaking with really well. And you didn't give him a whole lot of places to go, just kind of coming back with solutions every time he, tried to put up a roadblock. But I think more than anything else, you kind of personality matched him, which I think is just it's a great sales skill to have.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, you cornered me.
Yeah, I did, didn't I? But I did
Hey,
it. Not,
Danny?
yeah, go ahead. Come on. Go ahead, Tanya.
I was just going to say that I like the flexibility. The guy was like, hey, this is how my viewpoint, this is how I'm seeing it, this is what I think will work. And you said, fine. Great, let's try it your way and give me a shot too. So it wasn't like backing him into a corner.
Right. And why? Well, that's excellent. By the way, all three comments, excellent. You're all right on what I think is happening here. Number one, the matching is extremely important. Everybody has a process. Everybody speaks the way that they want to speak. That's just the way it goes. So the more we can match them, and matching comes from what? What do you have to do first before you can match?
Understand.
You have to
recognize.
Yeah. Listen. You have to listen to them. You have to listen to what's most important to them. If somebody says, I don't think you're worth 5%, 6%, 7 apples, 10 apples, whatever, no collusion here on this call, simply examples. If I'm not worth that, according to him, what's most important to him in that moment, in that comment? What's most important to him? State the obvious. Just state it. This is an exercise. It's no trick question. What's the most important thing to him?
Bottom line.
You got it. Maybe his, not even, we're making an assumption. In that moment in time, what's the most important thing to him?
Saving the commission.
You got it. Commission rate, period. It's the number one thing. For those of you that are recruiting agents, what's the split? What's your commission? What's the split? What's your commission? What's your split? It's like a broken record of the obvious in this industry. That's all they can say. You know why? They don't know what value is. Nobody's ever taken the time to professionally explain value to them. So given no full, thorough explanation, and I say thorough meaning simple. You know how I feel about simple, thorough explanations. Given no thorough explanation of value, they're left to say what? What's the price? What's the price? If I really knew everything about an electric BMW versus a Prius, I might spend more money. But every time I walk on a lot, nobody has enough product knowledge to tell me what's the difference in price. You know why? Sit there with me. Give me the product knowledge to help me make an informed decision. I still might not spend the extra money. I still might not go with it. But the very bottom line is you've got to understand how to articulate your value. Right? Period. That's all there is to it. So now that shouldn't be hard under my watch with all of you. So what I did was, yes, I found out one of the objections and I didn't, how do you say? I was listening, by the way, Fanatical Prospecting just continues to wow me with the insights in that book. Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blount. You're right, George Moutart. I should make it mandatory for anybody who spends any time at the TRC sphere. 100% go listen to that book, okay? And the reason is there's a lot of language there that I use, especially in the sales training call with you all. One of the key things that I notice about scripting is confrontation. And both Patrick and Tanyelle are on how I do not create conflict, but I'm still aggressive. Okay? When you say something, Doug Converse, you're on this one. When you say something right off the bat, let me run this by you, okay? Hey, David, it's Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group, and I noticed that you expired. When are you going to hire the right agent? What does that sound like?
So you mean I didn't hire the right agent?
Yeah, you got it. See what he just said? You mean I didn't hire the right agent? Are you calling me what? Fill in the blank. Are you calling me what?
An idiot.
Yes, fill in the blank with all the derogatory terms you can. It's inferred. When are you going to hire the right agent, you dummy? Right? I mean, fill in the blank. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me that that gets taught. And then the other thing is, and I get that sometimes it works. Paul Mahalowicz and I were breaking this down the other day. And we were talking about, I said, Paul, do these scripts that you're following really say things like, ouch, and when are you going to do the right thing, you dummy? And I said to him, do you really follow that all the time? He says, look, sometimes it does work. Great. But I'm not looking for sometimes. I'm looking to always improve this. And the better way to be a better prospector is to make sure you listen and you adapt so that you can deliver the solution, which is usually universal. We should know most of the solutions. Somebody just come at me with another objection that you find inside or outside sales. Take me in a house, somebody get in the field with the buyer or the seller. Let's shift gears into outside sales for the latter part of the call. Give me an objection and let's work through it with the same techniques: listening, matching, and flexibility. Listening, matching, and flexibility. LMF. Here we go. Somebody give me an objection. Anything. Throw it at me.
I'm at the end of the listing appointment. They said, well, you know what, I've got to, I have to talk to the friend of mine, so I'm not going to make any decision. And yes, I didn't come in last, but I couldn't come in.
Okay, but by the way, happy birthday, Gail Rossetti.
Oh, thank you.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm
Gail.
having a good time. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that's
on
it.
my call.
I love
during
it.
Birthday time.
All right, so look, number one, we will mention what you said, but I'm still going to deal with it. What Gail was mentioning was process. We believe that if somebody is going to interview multiple people, it's better to come in last so you can be compared to all of them at once, handle all the objections against your competition at once, and more so that people tend to forget pretty quickly what they just heard from somebody. So you're probably top of mind consciousness if you come in last. Not a perfect formula, but it's a good technique. That's if you're in a cattle call. I'll make an argument to all my team leaders that you should be thinking that a strategic long-term prospecting approach creates more competition, less systems, because you're rewarded for long-term follow-up by eliminating the competition. So I'll just say that. But when it's a cattle call or a dog fight, in we go, and Gail gets in there, she gives her presentation, and the person says, thank you, but I'm not making a decision right now because I have to talk to my friend, right? So say, do you mean, here we go, ready? Gail, does that mean your friend is a realtor?
Well, he's not, he works in the city, and I'm more leaning towards somebody that works down the peninsula a little bit. But he did sell the house to us, so I want to give him the advantage. But I was really grateful that you followed up on all the information you've been sending me.
Wonderful. Is he a personal friend, Gail, or is this somebody that you just became friendly with when he sold you the property?
No, you know what, he comes from the country that I come from, Morocco.
Yeah.
And so, it's just that we just met him, and, and we've had a good relationship with him throughout the years.
I get it. You know what? And I love that loyalty. I really appreciate where you're coming from. I think that's a good move and it's smart. But let me just ask you a pointed question. Given that the relationship is that strong, do I actually have a chance to win this business? And if so, what am I missing? What do I have to do to overcome something that's so important to you?
Well, I think, after I hear what he has to say, I'm leaning more towards you. So
Okay.
I loved your presentation.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that you have a plan and that you started selling real estate in Burlingame. So I will call you as soon as I get done doing what I need to do. It's been a long. It's a probate, Danny. So it's been a while. I just have to do some stuff.
Okay. So Gail. I think that's fair. And thank you for the fair opportunity to compete on a level playing field. All I would ask is that after you go speak with him, would you give it one more heartbeat and give me a chance to talk to you before you make a final decision? Because I know how strong friendships can be, but this is a business transaction. And as you've already stated, I do have a very professional strategic plan. So I just want to make sure that I get that final heartbeat with you in case you decide that you have to go with him to begin with. Would that be fair enough?
Sure, I'll do that.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, when you're meeting with him, assuming that you're not sure he has a professional plan, what was it that you were hoping to hear from him?
I don't know. I mean, the last time I sold a house was about 20 years ago, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm just listening to people and taking in what's important, so I don't know.
Okay, good. Fair enough. And I'm not really trying to go in there too deeply with this, but I am just trying to give myself a good chance to compete, and that's all I'm looking for. So thank you.
And Danny, thank you. And I did do that.
Yep.
We went back into the house, and then we went in and looked at what needed to be done So we kind of did a two-step thing all of a sudden. So I felt really positive at the end of
Good.
the
And I was going to go for,
meeting.
if I was going to go for one more thing, here's what I would have said.
Okay.
Here's what I would have said. One more thing to plant one little seed.
Yeah.
Gail, when you meet with him,
Yes.
if you feel that there's absolutely no way that your loyalty to a fellow Moroccan would allow you to do business with me, let me just make this suggestion. Perhaps we could work together. Perhaps if there's some way that I could compensate him as part of a referral, I would be happy to consider that as an option. Of course, plan A is that I come in here full bore, but I really appreciate how difficult it is when there's a personal relationship. I'd love to turn my strategy loose on your property, but I would say that if you feel that there needs to be some compensation so that you feel good and you can sleep at night, and that's the only way I could get started with you, keep that in your as an arrow in your quiver when you're speaking to him if you feel like that would help, okay? I just want to arm you to be able to deal with both of us at once, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think there's
Great, Jenny.
and I think there's a lot of times, Gail, and that goes back to Tanyel's comment about flexibility. Something is better than nothing. And if I know that, what's the most difficult objection to overcome? Somebody's personal relationship with somebody else. No matter how much I love your strategy, I might just take what you just educated me on and give it to this guy because there's no way I can cheat on this guy. This is impossible. So rather than fight it or get upset about it, let's embrace it. I lean in. I taught my daughter, Christy.
And have a solution. What you provided was a solution.
Yeah.
I did that with somebody else, but I did not do that this time. It's something that I'm glad that we talked about, so I can put that
Good.
in my things that I'm going to say, objections that come up, and that's an excellent one.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, so let's
Excellent.
good.
Thank you, Danny.
Happy birthday, darling. Let's roll into the next one. That's good.
Down.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
see that.
Danny?
Yeah, go ahead, Danielle. Fire.
Okay, so I had a listing appointment referral, and they had terminated the relationship with the previous broker because he didn't give me offers.
Yep.
Bottom line, they were pricing it too high. So I want your opinion on whether or not I did this, if I handled it, in a appropriate way.
Yeah.
I agreed to take the listing, but I put a caveat in there: if we couldn't agree on price, or if they were unwilling to lower, that either party could terminate. So we listed, we signed all the docs, we sat down, and we looked at pricing,
Yeah.
the home, and I broke it down, and they were like, nope, we're not listing it for that. So I suggested that they have the property independently appraised prior to placing it on the market,
Yeah.
to see if, that we had an objective opinion on where pricing was. They did. The appraiser was like, nope, I don't think it's going to happen. So they terminated with me. And I felt like, could I have done anything more to keep the listing? But then another part of me was like, it would have been a waste of time.
Yeah, well, I do think, look, let's go back to the age-old pursuit of timing and motivation that's been around since the beginning of time in a sale. If the timing is not right for somebody, I don't care how well you sell and how great your script is and how long your resume is, you're not going to convince somebody to take action who's not ready. Their timing's not off. Then, of course, there's the why. I said this to my team this week, too, in a couple one-on-ones. You always have to bring somebody back to why they started this to begin with. Because one of the things in our business is that rejection causes an emotional reaction, right? The different parts of the brain, it's like logic just disappears and emotion takes over, and there's no rationale. So why they're moving could be the emotional trigger. What's going on? See, a lot of people that don't tell you the truth, or they have a number. I have to get 400, right? Because they either owe a ton of money and they're hoping for the white knight with the horse to come along and pay that money so they can pay off the debt, can become debt free, or they need all that money to be able to go live in their dream house somewhere else. It's mostly a mathematical delusion at that moment in time, right? So the reconnection is more so about going deeper as to why are you doing this to begin with? They say, and it's that acknowledgement. Look, I hear you. You want this kind of money. And what you all noticed about me is I have a very casual way of talking to humans once I know the tonality. Now, I won't be that casual as somebody who's very stiff and very compliant. I can play that role too. But you'll always get that sense of, hey, what's up? I'm here as a counselor, as a friend. You know what I mean? Look, if you don't hire me, you don't hire me. What do you want me to say? You're not going to hire me? I'm not going to get a wrestling match with you. But while I'm here, let's make the best use of the time. Why are you so fixated on this price? Where does that come from? And then shut up and listen, right? What's going on with you? Well, tell me a little bit more. I'm missing something here. Because usually when I sit with people, it's pretty black and white, it's logical, but I'm missing something here. And I'm pretty good at this, so you got to tell me some more here, right? And listen, it's that therapeutic moment where they dig into the why. The motivation and the why are very much more emotional in most cases. Most people aren't just black and white, even though they pretend to be. There's a why. There's a midlife crisis. There's a move up. There's a move down. There's I got to get out of here. I got to change my life. That's all very emotional stuff, Tanya, right? So you have to reconnect them to, I'm not going to take any less than this. That could be a money paradigm. That could be that the perception is that every one of us salespeople is in there to make our money at their expense. That's a money paradigm. That's a business paradigm. A lot of people that have never owned their own business are always counting the entrepreneur's money without knowing what it actually costs to run a business and how many expenses we pay. So you have to find out, why are they so adamant about that statement? Why are they so dug in on this thing? What's happening, right? So what you did.
So I did that.
Yep.
And they did communicate that it was, they had some debt they needed to pay off, and wife, they were down to one job. Wife was no longer working.
There you go.
And so my comment was, to them, okay, well, let's sit down. Let's see if we can align the market, with what your need is. But I can't guarantee that, there may be a gap or disparity between the two. And if there is, nothing that I do is going to effectively be able to get you that price if the market doesn't support it.
Okay, stop right there. Stop right there. That's very strong-willed sounding, and I like it. But I don't have the backdrop for against which you just threw that. If you threw that at somebody who's feeling emotion, it sounds like you lost your flexibility. You're the one that called me out for being flexible positively, and now I'm calling you out for going, oof, that sounded a little too black and white and a little too harsh for me, unless I have better context from which I can figure out where you're coming from.
Gotcha.
Right? So what I would...
I did say that, yes, because I guess I'm coming from the standpoint of, I don't want to waste your time.
Oh, you broke up, Tanya. Unless it's me. Can you guys all hear me? Did we lose her, or is it me?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Tanya, we lost you. Try again. Check. All right. Well, you guys get the point since we lost her microphone there. The most important thing to recognize there is that she sounded very stiff in her response. Look, it's almost argumentative. And this is what I said about these scripts that are insulting and argumentative. I did something different. Instead of arguing, I stepped up my energy level. And so, well, wait a minute. If all I have to be is like 6 magic beans better than you, I love that challenge. How about we both compete to sell your property at the same time, see who can net more, even me and MLS with all this fee in it. And you take off, you run your ad in the Times, you do your open house, you do whatever you're going to do. Let's have a race. Let's see what happens. It'll be fun. It's no obligation, right? You don't have to take anything that doesn't suit your needs. So I raise the energy level to the opportunity, and I come flying through with positive. It's positive energy, right? Now, there are times when I say, and by the way, I was asking for a price reduction for one of my clients last night, because I said, look, as a market maker, I'm telling you this. We have this one guy that keeps bidding on the house, and the gap is big. We don't have enough traffic beyond that. And the reason is the price is out of the range. You want X, you've got me at Y. It's too big. It's too big. You've got to give me the lowest asking price close to your number as you can tolerate. As you can tolerate. Because I know what you're going to say to me if I don't get the number. No. Good. I don't care. Give me a tighter asking price. Otherwise, this is what's going to continue to happen. I'm going to get the low baller who I have to drag up from the bottom of the ocean, whereas I could make a better market. So that education becomes a very important part of the process. So you have to find out. Yep. Oops. Go ahead. Go ahead, Tanya.
Hi, Danny.
Oh, who's that?
Claudette.
Oh, go ahead. You broke up. Say again.
Yeah, my name is Claudette.
Hi, Claudette.
Good morning.
Hi.
Well, I do have an objection. And
Sure, go.
What if they don't want to swap their property without the buyer when we drop by?
Say that again.
Because they only want to show their property. The FIS will only want to show their property if we do have a buyer with us when we drop by. What if we don't have that buyer?
Okay.
What are we going to say with them?
Oh, okay. So in other words, Claudette, if you have an opportunity to get into a property, but you don't have an actual buyer, no problem. See, because again, it's all about the gift I give you. Hey, Claudette, it's Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. The reason I'm calling, I saw that you were trying to sell your house by yourself. Congratulations. That's no easy feat. So what I did to help you out, since I'm a local neighborhood expert, I sent you over the exact plan that I use for my listings. I thought it would be helpful while you're trying to do it yourself. So take a look out for that in the mail. By the way, would you mind if I stop by to take a look at the product? Because we're always looking for off-market product that we can sell our buyers. Would you mind?
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? I always come bearing a gift, because when I give you the gift, it's more likely that you'll give me some gift backwards. Well, what are you talking about, Danny? You might give me a few minutes to talk to you. That's a return gift. See, most people get hung up on because there's always that perception that we're hounding somebody, we're bothering somebody. But if I say, look, Claudette, it's Danny Griffin from Griffin Realty Group calling because I noticed that you're for sale by owner, because you expired, because you're the administrator of an estate, because you opted into my website. And what I wanted to let you know is that I gave you something. Thank you. Thank you for being out there as a seller in my neighborhood. I wanted to give you my best stuff for free. Here's my home seller course. It's my 7 points that I use to help my sellers successfully sell. I bet you'll love it. Oh, by the way, while I have you, what's going on? How you doing by yourself? You getting any action? How's it going? It's pretty tough out there, isn't it? I find it tough after 19 years. I bet you, selling this on your own, find it tough. Yeah, all these people coming in, they're unqualified. Well, I'll tell you what, if you want, when they come in, I'd be happy to get them qualified. My wife's a mortgage loan officer. I'd be happy to hook her up with them. So here's my cell phone. Let me know, and we can run them through a quick pre-qualification. Another gift, Claudette. So not only did I give him this, I gave him, the opportunity to have a contact, right? Now, hey, how you doing with the price? How'd you pick the price? Well, I went on Zillow. Hey, you know what that doesn't include? That doesn't include your exact location in the neighborhood, hyper-local market trends, and the relative condition. So what I could do is give you one of my specialty analyses, and I'll drop it by. What would be a good time to do that? Third gift, one conversation. I'm going to keep upselling the gifts because there's no sale. Who says no to a gift that's helpful other than somebody who's totally paranoid and knows what you're doing, that you're building relationship, and they're very standoffish, right? It's very difficult to say no to a pile of gifts. Claudette, if I showed up at your house and said, look, Claudette, here's what this is. Well, Danny, I know you're going to give me those gifts because you want to list my house. Claudette, I don't want to do anything other than give you these gifts. If there happens to be an opportunity to discuss listing your house down the road, of course, I would love to have that discussion. But that's not what I'm here doing right now. Unless, of course, you're saying you want me to. Then I can change gears and I can go into that. But I always have to be adding some value, and the best value to add is free. It doesn't cost them anything. And it better be good. It can't be some nonsense. It better be, the standard better be the best stuff you can give them in that moment that's relevant to their situation. Does that make sense?
Right. Makes sense.
Good. Excellent objections. More, you bet. Yeah. More like this. This is great. Kimia, I got room for a couple more. Let's go. Hit me. Any objection you faced in the field? Come on, guys. Really? Do I have to beg you to help you? It's a gift of my insight, huh? Not that I'm a savant, but let's go. Somebody give me an objection.
And hey, Danny, I got one for you.
Here we go. Here come the ladies. I like it.
It's Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. Come on, Lisa. Lisa, you're way too quiet
Hi.
today.
I know. I was listening already today. So I keep getting this objection at this time of year where everybody's like, I don't want to sell my house. And the two main reasons are because they don't want to move because of the cold or because they are wanting to spend the holidays with their family.
Okay.
So they all want to kind of wait until spring.
Okay. It's a very legitimate thing that happens in most locations other than maybe when you're in the South and it's when everybody comes there, the market picks up right now, say in Florida. So that might be, something that happens. Duran and I were talking about this the other day. It's a very legitimate deal. But if you want to have ways to get over it, say, look, I get it. You're absolutely right. The couple of weeks from Thanksgiving to Christmas, that's a toughie. That 30 days, that's just a toughie. If you're already on the market, you stay on because you never know. A lot of people come home from Florida for the holidays and they're up here in Michigan. And you know what? They do drive-bys. They go around taking a look at things. Maybe they're helping the kid move up. So you might be missing that holiday market. See, your whole family's coming home too, and that stirs up activity. People actually have time, ironically, to at least drive by the property. So if we're not on the market, we definitely miss that holiday traffic. That's number one. Number two is think about what you're saying. And you know what? A whole bunch of people are saying this all the time. So if you're a seller, wouldn't it be a smart time to be on the market when there's less competition? So there are your two heartbeats, Lisa, just like that, right? Those two things. Now, they're tough and legitimate objections to handle because it's just true. People just would rather enjoy themselves. And the holidays are a time to let your shoulders down, have a few laughs, be with family, relax, maybe take a trip. It's a very legitimate challenge in our industry that it has some, ebb and flow seasonality-wise. But those are two things that absolutely are true also. The drive-bys when everybody's home, and the fact that there's less competition during that time. I think those are two really good, solid beats to hit and see what they say. But let me take it one step deeper into pipeline. I think one of the things about pipeline is that those conversations being had right now, what will people do during the holidays? They'll do homework, won't they? Because as I said, people start to gear down. They start to think about that next move. What do January 1? They make a move. They go to the gym. They say, I'm buying the house in Michigan, or up, selling up or trading down. I want to downsize in Michigan because I want to buy the house in Florida. Movement happens January 1. So if you load up on your pipeline in the next 60 days and you work it and you bring a lot of insight, you'll definitely skim the cream of those people that are smart buyers. Smart buyers are out there during that time looking, and smart sellers know there's less competition. So you have the smarty pants during the holidays, but no better time to build a pipeline and work it with educating those people. You have more downtime yourself to invest in them. So my real pitch beyond the objection handling is that's when you really lean in and help the prospects who are in your pipeline be ready for January 1. Look, that's great news. I'm going to educate you with our home seller course over the next X days. I can stop by. I can give you tips of what to do and what not to do. I walk in too many houses that are not properly prepared. During the next 2 months is a great time to get yourself ready because that first quarter is hot. That's when buyers come out. They want to do something new. So you got to be ready. See where I'm going?
Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, I've got a stack of a pipeline for spring.
Yep.
But trying to get them to convert to possibly list it sooner is the tricky one.
It is, but just say to them, look, the sooner you can beat the competition, because what's the average days on sale where you are? Days on market?
It depends on the area. So some areas are 2 months and some areas are closer to 4.
Okay, so I'd be telling them that too. Say, look, it actually takes about 4 months to sell a property. So if the spring market is when you want to sell, it's a good idea to beat the competition a wee bit early and maybe even get it listed right before the holidays. Early December, right? Late December, somewhere in there. If we can get out in front of that competition, then what we could do is you can move forward from there, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I would tell you. So it's all about that real conversation, that authentic conversation in that moment with those people to get them either ready or tip them over and say, hey, you know what? I never thought of that, Lisa, until you just said that. That's not a bad idea. Let me talk to my wife. Let me talk to my husband. Let me think about that. Well, listen, while you're thinking, I'd be happy to come over and think with you, because one of the things you should do right now is at least get a punch list of things to do to be properly prepared. There are some things you should do and maybe you shouldn't waste your time with. It takes me about 15 minutes to walk through your house, give you a punch list. Right? So you're always giving that gift, like I told Claudette, that gift of insight, that gift of information. Every time you upsell free, every time you upsell gift, you're deepening that relationship. You're showing them a professional approach that says, look, I'm not going to go to sleep on you for the holidays and then hopefully wake up on you. If you're not going to list it now, then plan B is get ready. I want to come over. See, if I can come over during that time when it's slower and I can deepen the relationship, I'm creating perhaps a more competition-less system situation in the first quarter. If I fall asleep on it in the holidays and somebody they see during the holidays says, oh, you're thinking about selling your house? My cousin's sister's brother's a realtor. You should talk to him. And all of a sudden you're on the outside looking in because you didn't lean in on the pipeline at the prospect level. You waited because they told you to wait, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. All right, one more.
Thank you.
You bet. One more objection. I'll take one more for Friday. Somebody give me one. One of my team leaders. Somebody. Objection.
Well, our favorite one is definitely, I'd like to sell my house, but, I still want to stay in the same area, and I wouldn't be able to afford a new house.
Excellent. Did somebody sit down with you and really break down the math, or is that just something you started to think about?
Yeah, I just been watching, reading the cover of the newspaper, and it seems like, prices are really high, which is good, but it's a double-edged sword.
Well, there's no doubt about it, but we have a strategic approach to fix that in a heartbeat. Patrick, what we could do is come over and not only tell you what to do and what not to do to make sure you get the top dollar on the front-end sale, but I'm telling you right now, there's great deals out there. A lot of people don't understand that you can still really get a great deal in the Seattle market. The reason is, as it heats up, a lot of people actually overprice their properties, and some of the best deals are sitting there overpriced, and the seller's motivated. They're just getting poor advice. So what that leads to is our expertise on the front end boosting up the sale and your net, and us being able to negotiate you the best deal on the front because we know the weakness in the market. Usually, it's pretty easy for us to put that math together where it works. But the first step would be that if we come over, we can really take a look at the value of your house and tell you what to do and not to do to move up the value ladder, but more importantly, go over a net sheet. So instead of guessing nebulously at what could be on that end, to really zero it down to just a few $5,000, $10,000 where you really are making a smarter, wiser decision. Then also, and I could give you a sample now online, to see what the money actually bought. See, a lot of times we're looking in the newspaper like you said you were doing, and we're seeing asking prices. But unless you're really scouring sold prices, you don't really know what the money could buy. Now, I might end up agreeing with you. Maybe the best thing is that you'll end up just staying put for now. But to be sure of that, if I just take you through this process, at least you're properly informed. So would it be okay if we got together and chatted about that? Patrick, something like that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because,
well, hey, Danny, I really like where you went there. I expected you to basically give me the answer, well, hey, let's figure out what your house is worth and start there. But what I really like that I haven't really thought of before is layering on top of that, let's figure out what your house is worth. And also I want to let you know that we're actually really good at finding people great deals even in today's hot market on the purchase end.
Yep.
So that's something that I think a lot of us aren't doing, which is, adding in that hope that, I know it's a hot market, but, we've been working within this hot market now for a few years, and we're very savvy, and we can find you those properties that got overpriced. And, so we can get you top dollar for your home, and we can also get you a fantastic deal on your next home.
Yeah, and you have to give evidence to that too. It can't be rhetoric. Rhetoric is a script, right? That's rhetoric. It gets us somewhere to start, but then the rubber meets the road. Now we're hearing what his objection is. And as we said, we're listening. And we're supposed to be real experts. Well, what are we real experts at? This financial transaction. Well, what do you mean? Well, I can show you how to get the top money for this with a couple tweaks and twists. But I can also show you what the money bought. And that shows you the whole story. See, the reason you're stuck is mostly because of math. And nobody's really walked you professionally through the mathematical process because you're making a presumption you can't get a good deal in a hot market. Not true at all. In fact, there are off-market properties. Just like Claudette said, we've got a couple of for sale by owners that we think are way too cheap, right? That we would show you their properties too. So and we talk to probates all the time who don't want to go on the market. So there are a lot of good deals even in a hot market. Now, you can do well on the front end, but most people are afraid that they'll have nowhere to go. Not so. In fact, when we're representing you on both ends, what we can do is make sure terms and conditions protect you from that never happening. So there's a lot of education that we can give you that will bring your shoulders down a little bit, make you relaxed about the process. And look, ultimately, if it's not going to work, you stay put. What's the worst thing? You get a good house and you're in it already.
Yeah,
right?
Awesome.
Cool. All right, everybody. Good work here today. There's our sprint. It's over 60 minutes. Go out and try this stuff and bring it back to me next week. I'll see you on the other side. Good work.
Thanks, Dan.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, everybody online. Thanks for being here.